All right, we are live. We will wait for people to get in here. I got some updates here revolving the Wuhan lab leak theory and funding and communication slash coordination of the Texas Galveston research lab and the Wuhan lab. We will also be going to join Rolling Thunder in Washington, D.C. for their kickstands up at noon. I believe it's a five-hour ride for them. And we're going to be spreading awareness. Simon is getting a sign made. Lori and Eddie are getting sodas and preparations for the day. Good morning, Beverly Anderson. Eselson? I hope I said that right. Okay, so let me see here. We'll wait just a little bit longer. Let me read these notes. There we go. All right. All right, so the U.S. Right to Know organization that is set up to investigate health concerns, and they filed for documentation to the agreement that the Wuhan lab and the Texas Galveston lab had in order to destroy all records of their work according to a legal document by U.S. Right to Know. Okay? So apparently the Wuhan lab has the right to ask a partnering lab in the United States to destroy all records of their work, all records of their work. So the Wuhan lab and the Galveston in Texas, each lab can ask the other to return or destroy any so-called secret files, communications, documents, data, or equipment resulting from their collaboration, and ask they wipe any copies. To wipe any copies. This is treason. This is blatant treason. I see you. Directors announced this agreement in 2018. The Wuhan lab and the Galveston lab are just two of a handful of facilities in the world that work on novel coronavirus. The lab in Texas receives funding from the NIH. NIH was doing biosafety training with the Wuhan lab, which operates under Chinese Academy of Sciences. These two labs intended to do joint research and share resources. So, when they say that the NIH funded the Wuhan gain-of-function research, there is ties and ties and ties. The roots are deep, y'all. We're getting ready to take off here. They got a couple supplies. Let me see here. We're going to go over this in more detail as the day progresses. why is it that open secrets and the U.S. right to know make requests? And yes, I did see this on Russell Brand, so I started doing a little bit of research on it myself. Why is it that open secrets and the right to know are the ones making requests for this documentation and not mainstream media? Okay? When we talk about senators and the media not doing their job, not covering things, if they're not covering things like the freedom movements, then they're not doing their job. It's true. They're not doing their job. The Wuhan lab retained the right to call for a destruction of data on U.S. servers funded by U.S. taxpayers. Russell Brand, thank you for bringing the U.S. right to know request for documentation to the public, because the Wuhan lab retained the right to call for destruction of data on U.S. servers funded by U.S. taxpayers. Here, let me see here. We got to get rolling. This clause could risk obstructing congressional investigations into the COVID-19 pandemic. The clause that they can just destroy any data, equipment, and research involved into the COVID-19 pandemic. I mean, this is just atrocious. This is a disgusting violation of transparency regarding taxpayers' dollars that funded this, right? If it's public dollars that is funding this type of research, it should be public knowledge. Somebody's pulled over here, 2 people, and the cops blocking the lane 2. You know, it's crazy the vagueness of what's considered a secret and the memorandum of understanding. It's very concerning. When we talk about the withholding of information on things like natural immunity and pre-existing treatments, we see the withholding of information now with the agreements, the memorandum of understanding between organizations like the Wuhan Institute of Virology and the Galveston lab in Texas. Okay, the Wuhan Institute of Virology's database went dark in 2019. Like Russell Brand said, COVID-19, 19 stands for the year that the COVID-19 was originated. Also, what happened in 2019? That's when the CCP seized Hong Kong. That's when the CCP ramped up their submarine counts. That's when the attack on science started to really show. All right? These agreements are a blatant and disgusting, gross violation of our rights. It really helps illustrate the potential risk of fraud and the fraud that Fauci and them are being investigated for. You know, when we see things like the withholding and publishing of false and fake information, like studies revolving natural immunity, false and fake information published like the Russiagate collusion, it all kind of starts to add up. What are they doing? Did they forget something? All right. So, to go over the notes again real quick. The Wuhan right has an agreement with the right to ask a partnering lab in the United States to destroy all records of their work according to a legal document requested and obtained by the U.S. right to know. The Wuhan lab and the Galveston lab in Texas can ask the other to return or destroy any so-called secret files, communication, documents, data, or equipment resulting from their collaboration, and ask that they wipe any copies. That's just crazy. And the vagueness of what a secret file is, so anything could be secret, like Russell made a good point of, now people can't look at this and be like, oh, this needs to be public knowledge. Why would they be destroying this? This shouldn't be getting destroyed. Directors announced this agreement in 2018. Wow, 2018. And if we look at when the WIV database went dark in 2019, and we start adding in things like when the CCP seized Hong Kong and when the CCP was starting to ramp up submarine counts, which indicates them wanting to invade Taiwan, being that they've threatened Taiwan and continually sent aircraft inside of their airspace with daily drills up to 50 to 100 times, the CCP is posturing very, very hard, and has been for a couple of years when we started to zoom out and look at the big picture of how they've been operating. And again, the Wuhan and the Galveston lab are just two of a handful of facilities in the world that work on novel coronavirus. The Texas lab receives funding from the NIH. The WIV and the Texas lab can share resources. Okay. So follow the money, y'all. Who's in charge of the NIH? Who's one of the people in charge of the NIH? We might even be going to his house tomorrow. Who knows? But that person is Anthony Fauci. There's lots of biolabs, but the Texas lab and the Wuhan lab are two of the very few in the entire world that are actually researching the novel coronavirus and the gain of function research surrounding the coronavirus. You have to understand, these are key components of what's going on. And you have to look at who's controlling these organizations. People like Fauci that have had enormous influence to coerce the American and world public into submission with getting vaccinated or losing your jobs. Getting vaccinated or you cannot internationally travel. Getting vaccinated or you can't get on an airplane. Wearing a mask or you can't get on a bus. These are all derived from the influence and fraudulent activity by people like Anthony Fauci and organizations such as the CDC and the recommendations that they have laid upon not only our country but the government officials that would be enacting executive orders and emergency orders revolving the COVID-19 response. Okay, they hijacked the science. This is an attack on our freedoms. This is an attack on science. This is an attack on the American people. This is an attack on people around the world. All right. So we're heading up to Rolling Thunder right now. I can't believe that the Wuhan lab and the Texas lab had an agreement to share resources and to share the destruction and withdrawal of information, equipment, and research revolving any type of what they deem secret or proprietary information. They're doing things in the best interest of profits rather than the people around the world. The human rights aspect of what they are doing. Not only are they doing things in the best interest of profits by keeping their secrets and destroying their secrets, but they're covering their own asses for what seems to be a pandemic. Okay, when you look at when the database of the WIV went dark, when you look at when the agreement to destroy sensitive data revolving their research was enacted in 2018, when you look at when the submarine counts were ramped up, when you look at when Hong Kong was seized, when you look at when the CCP got into more conflict with the border of India, all of our industry got sent over to China. The CCP has weaseled their way into not only our politics, but our industry. They started with our industry. Well, actually, I don't know. That's debatable. Being that our politicians are the one that allowed our industry to move over there. Actually, I would say the politics came first. They weaseled their way into the politics to steal our industry, to steal our information, to suppress our information, just like they do to the people that are under the control of the CCP. They're trying to turn our country, the land of the free, into a communist Marxist country, is how I see it. There's a tipping point. There's going to be a tipping point. The American spirit and the spirit around the world for people that want freedom and accountability and transparency and are fed up with the lies and the fraud and the treason and the tyranny, okay? There's going to be a tipping point. There just has to be. I could see it happening no other way. And the spirit is there. The spirit is there, especially in America. That I can attest for, and even in Canada, and in Australia, and New Zealand, and like places all around the world. Even China, people in Hong Kong were so concerned about their civil liberties being taken from them around the time that COVID was released. People were screaming and singing the American anthem and flying our flag, a desperate cry for help, when the CCP was seizing Hong Kong right when COVID hit. But because there was a pandemic, a worldwide pandemic going on, everybody stepped down. They were too focused on this scamdemic and sanctioning and forcing people to inject themselves with experimental vaccines and wearing masks and making sure that nobody was spreading extreme right-wing conspiracy theories that turned out to be true. It's a pandemic, y'all. And there's going to be a tipping point. When I say that the spirit is there, It is. Just from the small amount of Americans that knew, just using the TPC, the convoy that was started, even though I don't like how it ended, or a lot of the things that transpired during it, I do love the spirit that was awakened and shown from the American people. Okay? Millions of people out of the very few percentage that actually knew that there was going to be a convoy traveling across the country showed up and showed out to support. Okay? There was helicopters flying steel cable with weights in the bottom of them with huge, enormous American flags. There was fire trucks. There was cranes hoisting American flags. There was millions of people that had gathered over on the overpasses within the first week or two of the freedom movement starting in the United States. The spirit is there. And the spirit is what's beautiful and what is keeping me going. This is way bigger than a convoy. This is way bigger than Joe Biden. This is way bigger than me. This is way bigger than you. This is about the unity and the human rights of the entire world at stake here. And the fact that these labs had the ability to destroy the data and the equipment that they were doing research on is just abysmal. It's disgusting. I've got an interview setting up with Trisha Lindsay. Again, we need knowledge. Okay, we need accurate and correct information on how to invoke our rights, so we do it in the best way possible. We need this to be on point, high and tight, and give the best representation of ourselves as possible. If that requires me to be a little patient before releasing a media blast or the plans on what we're going to be aiming for, then so be it, because it's got to be refined and it has to be accurate. But we are getting consultation with people like Trisha S. Lindsay. We are looking for sponsorships for that consultation. If somebody donates, the consultation fee is $350, and Mike from supportfreedom.net did commit to giving away any merchandise in his store, whether it be a hold the line hoodie or whatever your choosing might be. But if somebody was to sponsor that entire $350 consultation fee, you would be getting your choice of a merchandise item in supportfreedom.net's merchant store. So please considering sponsoring knowledge, because knowledge is power. And Trisha S. Lindsay is not the only attorney that I want to consult with. So I'm looking for sponsorships to consult with attorneys and lawyers, and check on our options and bounce ideas back and forth and try to come to the best understanding. We're also looking at a seminar with Tony on Zoom to get people understanding and informed and taught how to file notices of violation to health directors and other members of their local community that have been violating our rights or that are still currently violating our rights. I still have to set up a day and time for Tony's seminar. Being that it's Memorial Day weekend, I've been very, very busy. My stream cut out yesterday, by the way, when I was going under an overpass. It was very weird how that happened, but because I had full bars, and it just the frame per second just dropped to like 10, then to 6, and then the stream crashed, and then I looked at my bars, and then I didn't have, I had service. I had 4 bars. But I was going to hang out with the bikers a little bit yesterday. See, this fucking BMW, man, was speeding. I'm gonna turn this shit around. It was like speeding up and about slammed into Lori. Pete's Lori. Is Lori driving or is Eddie driving? I don't know who's driving up here, but come on, we got to get back in convoy mode here. And we also got to get back in restoring our freedom mode here. If you guys are interested in taking a seminar on how to file notices of violations at a local level to health directors and other elected officials that are violating our rights, go ahead and put in some rain clouds, umbrellas, and hearts, American flags into the chat. Let me know if that's something you would be willing to participate in. Mind you, it would cost money, okay? To my experience and experiences of the people that run these seminars, people don't value things that they get for free. It's just like when you work hard for something and you've invested into something like building a deck or fixing a grill or building a model car or restoring a car, you get that much more satisfaction and pride having invested into that project. Okay? So if you guys would be interested in taking a seminar on learning how to serve notices of violations to local level officials, go ahead and put some emojis in the chat, rain clouds, umbrellas, hearts, American flags, and let me know if that's something you'd be interested in paying your hard-earned dollars to fight for freedom at a local level. We need invested and true patriots that are active and willing to stay activated during this process. We can't be weekend warriors with this stuff, y'all. We have to stay active and stay activated. Okay, actual activism. Actual active activism. Okay, we need true patriots that are going to continue being activated in their local communities to stand up and learn how to serve notices of violations. So if that's something you're interested in, and don't be intimidated by it, because, you know, don't be afraid to suck at something new. Okay, I have never served a notice of violation in my local community. This is something that I am interested in learning as well. So, you know, knowledge is power, and we're looking for tools to fight back, and this is one of them. So nobody's interested in learning how to serve notices of violations besides me? Knowledge is power, Cali Girl says. Cali Girl, would you be interested in learning how to serve notices of violations at a local level to health directors and other people that have blatantly violated our rights? Is there true patriots out there that are willing to fight for our freedoms, and do so in the structure that we have in this country, to do so and try to explore and exhaust all avenues of ways to fight back before entering a civil war type of atmosphere? Okay, so Cali Girl says absolutely. She would be interested in learning how to file for notices of violations to health directors and stuff at a local level. Okay, so who else do we have in here that would be willing to learn how to and stay active in filing notices of violations? Let me know in the comments. Throw some emojis in there, the rain clouds, umbrellas, American flags, hearts. Okay, let me know if that's something that you would be interested in attending a seminar teaching you how to serve notices of violations. Am I speaking, am I talking to a wall here, or am I talking to an audience? Let me know if you guys are true patriots or not, or if this is something that you would be spending money on. Look, I want to kind of get a group of leaders together. You know, leaders in my eyes can be anybody, whether it be a leader at a local level. Right now, I think maybe even focusing on getting other media outlets involved in this type of seminar. Yes, it would be a seminar via Zoom. And what I'm thinking about doing is proposing this seminar to the live streamers out here. Okay, these live streamers like Joe, that's obviously a patriot, right? I think that he'd be interested in learning how to file for notices of violation, and could offer good questioning via his background in business management that he's going to school for. But these are leaders in the aspect of they have an audience that is following them and looking for information and tools to fight back. Or at least that's the seeming, reasoning on why people are watching, because they're just genuinely concerned about what's going on. And I think there's a large Support Freedom says, I don't agree with implying people. Well, you know, the implication isn't that people are not patriots if they do not learn how to do this, Mike. You know, it's the implication that we need people that are patriots to stay dedicated to serving paperwork and follow through with the notices of violations. I'm not implying that people aren't patriots if they don't do this. It's me implying that we need patriots to do this. Okay? It's not about them not being so if they do not do this specific task. It's me saying that we need patriots that are trustworthy and dedicated to staying active and activated in the realm of serving notices of violations. Okay? So I hope that clarifies what exactly I meant by true patriots staying activated in their communities. GPAT, Joe can join this seminar via Zoom, so he wouldn't have to be present in DC to participate in a seminar that teaches people how to serve notices of violations. No, but thank you for your comment, Mike. You know, that helps me clarify to anybody that might have been confused on how I was articulating that. I wanted to be, I'm thankful for your comment, because that gave me an opportunity to clarify that, you know, there is people in the military that are getting blatantly rejected from religious exemption, you know, that are being forced to ask permission for something that they already have, which is religion. Okay? And there's people, I mean, I bring up the military because they're not at home in their local communities 95 to 80, 98% of the time to be able to stay active in that realm of tools needed to fight back. Okay? So when I say patriots, again, I mean trusted individuals that are dedicated to freedom in their local communities that, you know, might feel discouraged and might feel like they don't know what to do, right? How to fight back, you know. I hear that question a lot, like, what do we do? Like, how do we fix this? What's the solution here? Well, there's lots of different solutions, but filing paperwork at a local level, getting things documented is super, super important. And following the processes that our government has laid out to express discourse and concerns and you know, prosecution even and deliberation of issues needs to be exhausted before we, you know, go into a civil war type of scenario. And that includes things like, you know, it doesn't make sense to go up and protest something that you have not contacted your elected officials who represent you or represent your voice before going to protest. So we have to make sure that we are contacting our representatives and we are trying to go through the proper chain of command and canals that our government has laid out for us to express our concerns. So, and if we have expressed our concerns and our senators fail to adhere to their constituents, then it's documented, right? And it makes sense for us to protest it even further and to serve those notices of violations, to contact our health directors and our health committees and say, hey, look, y'all need to get your act together, all right? Or we're going to serve y'all with paperwork. Y'all have seen it at school boards. The parents, the parents of the children that are being subjected to this woke ideology and this sexualization of our children. You guys have seen parents organize and serve school boards notices of violations. That's what you guys have seen, stripping them of their conferred immunity and making them represent themselves in court in a personal capacity. All right, so this is what they're doing in school boards too. This is not a new thing. You guys are already familiar with this. So you just might not have known what exactly was going on. Stripping these school boards of their conferred immunity and these public officials of their conferred immunity is something that has been going on for a while now, and the health directors and health committees are one and the same. We have to go through the proper channels of the legal system in order to expect recourse and accountability and results to happen, especially if we're out here protesting, and especially if we are going to be serving notices of violations, right? Closed mouth don't get fed, and if we open our mouths and they work for us and they fail to adhere to what we have to say, then it's up to us to assume the power and serve them with notices of violations and correct the course of action. We don't need a lot of people. We could just have one person in each county serving notices of violations. And we can do this ourselves. We don't need an attorney to do this. We just have to be educated on how to do so. So I'm trying to get a seminar set up to teach people how to serve notices of violations to their local elected officials. Because again, if this is a game of chess, right, we have to take the pawns off the board before we attack the king and the queen. This is a game of chess. This is a strategic play. Huge traffic jam here. Pretty rare you see a Volkswagen Beetle if it's a convertible. That's pretty interesting. You know, it's great that people like Tim Pool and Russell Brand and Joe Rogan and Glenn Beck, they all are willing to expose the problems, but none of them are using their resources to find the solutions. Why is your boy Alex Glasgow, just some small random wind technician, doing more to find the solutions than these media outlets or these influencers that understand that there's an enormous problem happening all across the globe? Why am I the one that is doing the most to find the plan of action out of all these media outlets, right? There is lots of people out there like Tony and like Trisha that are, you know, trying to find solutions and putting them out there to the people, but the media outlets are not covering the solutions, they're only covering the problems. So instead of focusing on the problems, Russell Brand, thank you for your service and bringing you know, the issues to the American people. I'm with her! The guy was trying to cut in. Now, I'd really like to see these media outlets with all these resources that expose the problems quite often. And deja vu, what the F? There was like a dead fox in the middle of the road or on the side of the road right there. I swore we just passed one a little bit ago. But in any case, you know, I wish these media outlets with all the resources they have would be searching and looking for solutions and consulting with lawyers and attorneys and teaching people how to serve notices of violations and, you know, teaching people how to take the authority that our Constitution provides for situations such as tyranny and treason to this country, right? Why are police officers not stepping up and teaching people how to assume their authority given to us by the Constitution? Sometimes I feel like I have the weight of the world on my shoulders, y'all. I really do, because I don't see anybody pursuing the avenues that I am. And to me, it just seems so logical to figure out, you know, how to teach the people the information they need to know to fight back. Yeah, addressing the problem is one thing, but the question arises all the time of what do we do? What do we do? That's something the media has failed to provide. The mainstream media, podcasters, etc. I haven't heard anybody really talking about solutions. I've heard about people talking about the problems, which, you know, knowing the problem is crucial into finding the solution. But right, we have to be approaching this with more than one mindset of what's going on. All right. Trisha Lindsay talks about how people are enacting the doctrine of lesser magistrates, right? I'm setting up consultation with Trisha S. Lindsay to find out the proper canal of authority to enact our 10th Amendment and the doctrine of lesser magistrates, assuming the power of the people. Go ahead, dude. Go ahead. You know what? Fine. You asked nicely, I suppose. You're lucky. Anyways. Yeah, we are running a little bit behind here. Yeah, Chris, yo, I need to talk to you on the phone. Email me your phone number, Chris, and I'm gonna give you a call tonight, and we'll discuss some things. Chris, that's directed towards you. If you wouldn't mind sending me your phone number. I really appreciate your collaboration and the assistance you've been providing me with the tools necessary to outreach to the people that need to get involved. Black Wolf, welcome to the chat. Norma, thank you for your comment. Ty Guy 266, welcome. I'm gonna have to turn up my AC. My phone's getting really hot, so let's hope that it cools off before the stream crashes. So I apologize about the background noise, but we're gonna have to cool off this phone here for a minute. The definition of resources is so unclear, but here's the thing. Resources indicates money to me. I don't know where they went. Darn it. Hope that they're up here around this corner. Hey, where'd you guys go? You don't even know where you are? Okay, well, let's... Yeah, no, I seen that the bridge was closed. Okay. Alright, well, I need to pull up my GPS. I don't know where the hell you guys went. So let's meet at, like, the Washington Monument or something. Alright. Alright. Well, I gotta pull up my GPS. So Washington Monument, we'll meet there. Alright, bye. Washington Monument. Alright, so now I'm focusing on getting into DC because bridges are closed. So traffic is extremely congested due to the bridges being closed. Looks like people are struggling to find a way into DC, and it's pretty chaotic. Definitely a slowdown. I don't know why the bridges are closed. They just had them closed off. It might be because of the ride that the bikers are gonna do. It's kind of how I see the possibilities playing out for that. Cali girl, what do you mean about what about behind the embassies? Cowboys Mosh, what's the name of the attorneys that you have that supposedly are working pro bono, and how do you know that they'd be willing to commit to a pro bono advocacy? Like, how are you so confident in this, like, you making the scheduling for a couple lawyers or attorneys that would be willing to fight pro bono? What are their names, and what type of relationship do you have with them, and what makes you so confident that they would be willing to fight pro bono? One is your father, the other is your uncle. What are their names? So that way people can vet and look these people up. Like, we've got people that come up with ideas all day, but we need the resources and ability to vet these sources ourselves. I have not contacted Dr. Paul Alexander. Right now, we kind of know what the science is. We need the attorneys and lawyers to teach us how to fight back with the science. We've got people like Dr. Robert Malone, Paul Alexander, and Peter McCullough, and other doctors that have been willing to provide us with the science. But we need the attorneys and lawyers to teach us how to fight back alongside the science. Okay? It's a multifaceted defense. We can't just rely on doctors. We have to rely on the attorneys and lawyers that fight these lobbyists and these corrupt politicians in a court of law to teach us how to fight back. Even though we already kind of know, we just have to iron out the processes. Robert Malone understands the fraud and the lies that have occurred. He understands that incentives create a huge problem for the creation of fraud. Stephen and Nolder is my father's law firm in Columbus, Ohio. So if you guys want to look into that law firm and what they've been advocating for, that would be great. That way we can look into who is being proposed to fight in our defense in Ohio, there at least. I see Eddie and Lori. Go ahead of me. Go ahead of me. And so here we are, right back behind Eddie and Lori. That was convenient. It's crazy how our paths split apart and we come back together. It's almost like we were meant to meet each other, us three. And also people like Mike Mattingly and people like Mike from Support Freedom and Mike from Fry TV Now, and you know, lots of different connections that I've made involving the spirit of freedom that I feel like have been placed in my life to help me make change. Rolling Thunder is heading into DC, thank you. We would be there if these cops wouldn't be blocking exits all the time. It seems like a recurring problem in DC is they like to do whatever the hell they want. And the only thing that would be permissible in my eyes would be the fact that the demonstration of Rolling Thunder would be rolling through those areas. But I'm not too sure that's the case. Thank you, Weathercat, for vetting things in my chat. If you can at least look into this law firm that this gentleman is proposing, that would be good. Because whether or not, yeah, I don't know a lot about this, the real channel or not, but listen, big dice, you know, it's don't point out one media outlet or the other. To me, the mainstream media and other outlets with extreme resources should be helping find these solutions, right? Charlotte is younger than I am, and what do you expect her to do? Okay, it's a priority of interest and seeking out knowledge, right? There's lots of people that are at fault, right? Discussing the problem is one thing, but finding the solutions needs to be the next step. Exposing the problems is great, and expect the buffer to happen. We are currently in a tunnel. Yeah, Mima Flowers, you know, the spirit of the Australian and Canadian convoys has been inspiring. But is that the only tool, and has that tool fixed the problem? I would argue no. Nobody has found the correct solution, because there is not just one solution. There has to be a multifaceted approach to correcting the violations of human rights that have happened globally. And Australian law and the Constitution, and Canadian law and their Constitution, and the way their legal systems are set up is much different than the United States. So we need people in those areas to be fine-tuning and refining the legal tools to fight back, to help the citizens that are asking the question of what do we do, and providing those citizens the correct course of action, and a multifaceted course of action into what we do to fight back, to answering that question of what do we do to the average person that doesn't know what to do, that wants to help, that wants to get involved, that just doesn't know how to do so. Right? We have to be providing that knowledge. I appreciate you considering me being more involved, but you know, I did not appreciate you, you know, kind of calling out Charlotte, you know, as far as her being relaxing to watch. You know, this isn't about Charlotte. It's not about me. It's not about any in particular convoy. This is the spirit of freedom across the globe, and people need to be fighting back against it in multiple different ways, and that's what people should be focused on, is the solutions. Timothy Hornsby says, tell me more. So, Timothy, I would love to tell you more, but instead of taking my word for it, right, I'd be curious to know if you'd be willing to involve yourself in a seminar teaching you how to serve notices of violations to local elected officials to start removing the pawns off the chessboard. We need the local level officials to be held accountable and have them stripped of their conferred immunity and prosecuted as a civilian. Lisa Upboys is talking about rape. So, Lisa, wouldn't you agree that being penetrated against your will is rape? And if so, wouldn't you agree that being penetrated with a needle against your will is medical rape? Okay? Being coerced to be penetrated against our most sacred thing, which is our body, our most sacred home, is a violation, a gross violation of human rights. To be penetrated with an experimental vaccine against our will, be coerced into being penetrated with an experimental vaccine to keep our social status or to keep our jobs or our income. Well, if you don't agree with that, you can find a different channel to watch, because that's what we're about here. This is blatant medical rape, and that's just how it is. Please, no division against Charlotte. Charlotte is just another small fish in the sea of YouTube, to be completely honest. She doesn't have mass amounts of resources like people like Joe Rogan and Tim Pool and Glenn Beck and Steven Crowder, right? We need these people helping to find the solutions. All of them. Yes, Charlotte is included in that, but so is Joe from First Responder, so is so is Josh from Oreo Express, so is Chris from WYSIWYG. Okay, these people need to be helping find the solutions and providing those solutions to the people. Same goes for Glenn Beck, Steven Crowder, Charlie Kirk, Fox News, MSNBC, CNN, all of these places. It's funny because, you know, the organizations such as let's see here, U.S. Let me just make sure I'm speaking correctly here. The U.S. Right to Know and Open Secrets organizations are the ones filing for the documentation revolving the corrupt, fraudulent activity revolving the novel coronavirus and the suppression of information. Okay? There's lots of accountability that needs to be had. And regardless of focusing on the people that have not provided that information thus far, we need to be reaching out and like the U.S., like Open Secrets and the Right to Know are filing for documentation to learn about what has been going on. Okay? We need people filing for information to learn about the solution and learn and to be able to teach their audiences how to fight back. So it doesn't look like all the bikers have started rolling. I mean, there's lots of bikers in the grass, on the side of the road. Can't really see it all too well right now, but I mean, there's bikes everywhere over here. So it doesn't look like all the bikers have even joined the ride this far. Let freedom ring. No, I have not been keeping up on the Brazil thing. Good. If Brazil refused to sign the WHO treaty, then that's very good news. And I think the correct articulation there would be they refused to sign or adhere to the amendments. Not sure. Because to my understanding, the treaty is already there. They're just trying to amend the current treaty at this time. Let Freedom Ring, can you email me the article that you've been reading on that? I'd like to vet that myself. Alvelia. Hello. How are you doing, Alvelia? Appreciate you joining me today. Let Freedom Ring, do you have my email? Because I'm pretty sure that 12 out of the 13 amendments got withdrawn from the WHO. So I'm not even too sure what it is that they refused at this current time. I was just talking to Simon this morning, and I was like, man, I could take 3 days off just to do some research and really hone in and find these articles. But with it being Memorial Day and a lot going on, being out on the streets is imperative. We already know a lot of the information that has been subverted and used as a workaround to violate our rights. So at this current time, I mean, shoot, Ron DeSantis refused 100%. He's like, we would never allow our sovereignty to be handed over to the WHO. Biden is the one that proposed the amendments in the first place. So for him to, I don't know how exactly that happened, but it seems like he created a problem just so he could be the savior of it, if that is the case. Kind of seems like COVID-19 with the Texas lab and the Wuhan lab being able to share resources and delete sensitive data and equipment revolving their research. I mean, it's a possibility that they could have just created it, deleted all their files, and now the government's here to save you, making you dependent with things like stimulus checks and sorry, I'm like losing my train of thought because it's pretty hectic downtown right now. There's just so many cars. So yeah, I was talking about them creating a problem just to save you from it. And making you dependent with things like keeping us at home and coercing us into finding new jobs, giving us the seemingly choice of you having the ability to not get vaccinated or to get the jab. Okay? Come on, guy. You're really creating a gap here. He's probably wondering why I'm briding him, but I'm briding Lori and Eddie so they understand that I am not. Let's see, this guy is like not letting this other guy in. This van is very rude. Let the Jeep in, van. Come on, van. Be a nice human, van. Come on. Let's go. Thank you. So yeah, it seems like they might have created this problem just to save you from it. And in doing so, they have destroyed our economy, all in the name of health and safety, destroyed relationships, destroyed the reputation of science, destroyed our human sovereignty, destroyed the access to our constitutional rights. It's gross. It's gross violations on rights all over the world. Human rights, constitutional rights, civil rights, labor rights. The list goes on. a shark making it hard to navigate the city right now. What's that? Thank you very much for helping out.